Come here, girl.
Stop! Let go!
What you looking at, old man?
Ever notice how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with? That's me.
Man, you crazy, man. Get out of here, man.
Dad, you worked hard your whole life. Maybe it's time you started thinking it easier. These places are nothing like what you think they'd be. They're great. Kicking us out on his birthday. I told you this was a bad idea.
What the hell these Chinese have to move in this neighborhood for?
Dorothy mentioned specifically that it was her desire for you to go to confession.
And I confess that I have no desire to confess to a boy that's just out of the seminary. Get off my lawn.
You better watch your back.
Thank you.
I heard there was some trouble in the neighborhood. Why didn't you call the police?
I prayed that they would show up, but nobody answered. Why are you bringing me all this garbage anyway?
Because you saved Hal.
I didn't save anybody.
You're a hero to the neighborhood.
I'm not a hero.
We're having barbecue. You want to come over? We've got beer, too.
I might as well drink with strangers. Those guys who were here the other night. What about them?
Just a gang.
Here's your deal. You stay with me, because if I have to come back here again, it's gonna be ugly.
What was it like to kill a man?
You don't want to know. Tao and Sue are never gonna find peace in this world, as long as that gang's around.
What are you gonna do, Walt?
Whatever it is, they won't have a chance.
Gran Torino is a drama movie that was released on December 12th, 2008. It has been a while since I reviewed another Clint Eastwood movie, but this is actually the first one of his more modern movies that I have reviewed. But this review was a request by Darnell Letterbury 515. So let's see if it's good. The story follows Walt Kowalski, who is a Korean War veteran who almost had his 1972 Gran Torino stolen by a Hmong teenager. But Walt is forced to have him redeem himself in some sort of way because in the Hmong tradition, it is disrespectful if he refuses the offer. Overall, I think there are some genuinely good aspects about this movie. It features a main character who, on the surface, you would wonder how you could ever like this guy. He expresses utter disdain for almost every fucking thing in his life. Walt has a family that he doesn't really like all that much. He hates going to church, and he's also racist. But I found that even in the beginning, I actually found myself sympathizing with him a little bit. Even in the beginning, he still manages to do nice things for the Hmong people. Sure, he uses a ton of racial slurs and doesn't want them anywhere near his home, but that is at least something. I think a large reason why he is so angry at everything at first is because in the beginning it is shown that his wife died. She is probably the only person in his life that he truly had a strong connection with up to that point. Everyone else in his family doesn't seem to understand or care about him at all. Or maybe not as much as they think. I also definitely relate to his utter disdain for religion. He never cared for church. It felt even more authentic because Clint Eastwood actually is an atheist. And I think he channeled that energy into that portion of the film. Sure, at first, he is fucking brutal against the Hmong people. he uses constant racial slurs and insults, and also insults Thao for being a pussy. But he eventually starts to respect them more and more. This is because he realized he had more in common with them than he thought. In fact, he has more in common with them than his own family. But that still doesn't mean he stops being brutally honest. It also shows the cultural difference between America and many Asian countries. In America, we are under the mentality that our past is not what is important and we should look to the future. But in Korea specifically, the past is what defines who a person is. If you have a troubled past, you are not going to be let off the hook so easily, if you're even let off the hook. But if you think that this movie treats all white people as fucking evil and needing to reform, and all people of different races as heroic, that is actually not entirely true. In fact, Thao tries to steal a car because his cousin is in an Asian street gang. The cousin wants him to join him. Also, there are some African American guys who I think are gangsters who try to rape Sue, who is Thao's sister, and call her a bunch of sexual slurs, just like any stereotypical gangbanger would. Those guys are straight up bastards, and the movie knows that. So it has a balanced mindset. I also think, kind of like the scene in the barber shop when Walt tries to toughen Thao up. It has some damn good writing. And you know what? I actually thought it was kind of funny. It's extremely vulgar, but it was kind of funny. I also kind of like Sue. She has a real fucking attitude to her, which I find really entertaining. She also has genuine interest in Walt, and Walt even seems to latch on to her when he first meets her. But the way I see Walt is that on the surface, he has a family that loves him, and he has a full life. But that didn't give him what he really wanted. What he really wanted was to feel good about himself. But with everything he has done, he doesn't know how, nor does he even know if he can. But by getting to know the Hmong people, I think he might have found out how to do it. Now, I've been saying nothing but good things about the movie so far, but I actually don't think this is the best movie that Eastwood has done. First of all, the whole plot point with Walt finding out that he has some sort of condition from the doctor is never fully explored. We don't even really know what it is. It also has no bearing on the subsequent events in the movie, so I don't even know why the hell it is here. It should have been cut for the movie, to be honest. But the biggest thing that keeps me from liking this movie is the climax. If you have not seen this movie, skip to the timestamp in the description. So the Asian gangster guys shoot up the house where the Hmong family reside and injure Sue. This causes Walt and Thao to plan revenge on them. However, the way they go about it is honestly pretty fucking bad. Walt straight up locks Thao in the basement and goes alone. His reason for doing that is that he felt guilty about what he did in the Korean War. But the previous scene in the confession left me under the impression that he didn't feel guilty about what he did in the war. All he said was he kissed a guy while he was still married and didn't get to know his sons. So this makes no sense. And apparently his big brain plan was to just go up to the Asian gangsters, unarmed, and just get gunned down by them. What the fuck, man? That flies completely in the face of being tough and not acting like a pussy, which was what he was trying to teach Thao. Fucking hypocrite. Well, then again, I guess marriage does turn men into pussies. The climax would have been so much better if he at least tried to put up a fight or actually let Thao come with them and use the guns that they had. Think about how much more powerful that would have been. It could have shown that both cultural mindsets of America and the Koreans have merit, and would finally have both Walt and Thao realize what both of them meant when they came to their conclusions. You could still have Walt die as a hero in that scene too. And don't give me the excuse that they would have been breaking the law either. The police in the movie are clearly shown to be incompetent as shit. They don't even bother busting the gangs and arrest people for bullshit reasons. The climax is obviously my biggest problem with the movie. However, the ending is pretty good, all things considered. The priest finally understood what Walt meant when he said he knew nothing about life. And in Walt's will, he had Thao have the Gran Torino, as long as he didn't do specific things with it. I really do like this ending. I just wish it was attached to a better climax. As for the production values, the cinematography is pretty dark, which actually kind of fits the tone of the movie. The editing and sound are pretty well done. The music is actually pretty sparse. It very rarely comes up, and when it does, it's usually military marching snares when Walt holds his guns. I'm not sure how I feel about the song Gran Torino. I guess it kind of reminds me of Tom Waits a little bit. Overall, Gran Torino is a pretty decent movie. It reminds me of why I like Clint Eastwood, but it also reminds me of why I tend to avoid his later work. I think the story is well done in many ways, and it shows that even a bigoted bastard is human at the end of the day. It also shows why someone might feel the way they do toward certain ethnic groups, and recognizes that these are legitimate fears. But it also shows that one might have more in common with them than they think. But I don't judge movies for merely just that. I have to knock some points for the plotline that was never resolved, and especially that shit climax. But it is pretty goddamn hard not to recommend it. I'm probably never going to consider this his best work, but if there's any of his more modern work that I would recommend, it would be this one. I give Gran Torino 3 out of 5 stars with the title of Worth Watching. Anyway, I'm Spike Robot. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel, and feel free to support me on Patreon and follow me on Instagram. If you support me on Patreon, you can get exclusive updates on my next video, and if you follow me on Instagram, you can see all the pictures I took in Venice, Italy. So go check those out if you want. See you next time. On to the Freedom Jingos.
My friend, singing my final song.